Welcome back to Homeschooled Podcast. It's Augustino Zoida, and I'm here with my guest, Jeremy Scippio. What's up, dude? Welcome back. It's good. It's good to have you, man. Always a pleasure. And I'm continuing a podcast I did a couple podcasts ago. I had another guest of mine on, Vinnie Falcone. He's another comedian that I know who's also getting married. And we're gonna call this the part 2 of that, just because I feel like there's another point to it that I want to make. Not that you heard that episode at all, but it don't matter. You don't have to. It's a completely different take. But before we get into it, I just want to let everybody know where I'm going to be this weekend. I'm at the La Jolla Comedy Store. That's going to be a lot of fun. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, man. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 1 on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that a lot. It's always a fun time in San Diego, and I'm actually featuring for Jimmy Schubert. And I mean, dude, I love working for him. He's a beast, and he's just fun to hang out with in general. It's a dynamite show. You basically are getting like 2 headliners for the price of 1.
Look at that.
Pump yourself up. Hell yeah, bro. Yes, you got to speak it into the universe, man. You can't be putting yourself down. And then after that, let's see. I know. Okay. After that, I'm in Paso, Robles on the 21st, May 21st. That's Wine Week. I'm going up there playing for Wine Week. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that Memorial Weekend, I am in Memphis, Tennessee on the 27th. And then the 28th, I will be in Shelby, Michigan the following day. So all these tickets are available at augustinocomedian.com or homeschoolpod.com. You can click on tour and get tickets for all these shows that I just mentioned. How about you, Scippio? You got any shows coming up?
I'll keep it simple. I'm in Vegas, May 25th and 6th. LA Comedy Club, opening for club. Brent Ernst.
Oh, I love Brent.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, you guys are cut from the same cloth, though. You guys.
You know what's so funny that you said that is the last time I saw him, I was wearing this T-shirt, and he made it a point to let me know that it was a terrible T-shirt.
He doesn't hold back.
And in that same weekend, I think I was playing like blackjack with him or something. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and I was telling him, he's like, "Oh, where are you at next?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm playing Hawaii, right?" I'm like, I got a gig in Maui." And he's like, "Oh, that's dope." And I go, "Yeah, man." I go, I'm taking the wife, and I go, "I'm gonna make a vacation out of it." And I go, "So the whole thing's a write-off." He goes like this to me. He goes, "Let me tell you something. We're Italian. Don't ever say the word write-off to me again."
Yo, he always keeps it real. I thought you were gonna say something about you bringing your girl. I was gonna say like, "Oh my gosh, you can keep it too real."
I do get that. I've gotten that from comics. I mean, I learned that early on, like not to bring your girl on the road with you. But I mean, you got to take them to Maui, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you select spots, you know what I mean? If you know it's a kickback, no pressure, you know, like nothing's on the line, and why not? But yeah, if you taking it with you and it's like something, you know, serious, you know, like, you know, sometimes it's work, sometimes it's fun. But
this
also,
weekend, I was gonna say this weekend in San Diego, I'm actually bringing the wife up because like there's no shared condo anymore in San Diego, so you got to get your own hotel anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, she might as well drive with me. It's not like it's going to cost me extra. And then she is going to be like hanging out with her friend over there, so it doesn't even like, you know, she's not going to come to the shows.
Yeah. I know when I did Thailand. Well, we were doing that trip anyway. I took my girl with me. But also, I'll be at Yonkers Comedy Club May 5th and 6th.
Oh.
Opening for Flame Monroe.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, speaking to the wives, let's get right into it.
Please take your seats. School is now in session.
Welcome to Homeschooled Podcast.
Homeschooled.
The Homeschooled Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
It's time to document the journey.
I like how I was like, "Hey, you want to do my podcast?" And then I'm like, "Hey, I want to talk about marriage." And you're like, "That's a horrible idea."
That's a terrible idea. Yeah, you thought I was serious. That's funny.
I thought you were serious. I was like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't think we were going to do it. I didn't think you wanted to.
I mean, look, it's just my disposition, but that doesn't mean that it's part of the requirement, you know.
Are you
speak your life?
Are you a month away from marriage?
I am a month away. That's actually why my dates are short. I am going to take May and focus on that.
You guys got a honeymoon planned?
No, but we have our registry, and I think it'll come natural. I mean, we got engaged in Cancun, so it's kind of like keeping things local for local. This is like in the States because we're getting married in Cleveland. But we got a couple places in mind, so yeah, probably another tropical environment.
That's another piece of advice I would give people who are getting married, because we did that mic yesterday, and that dude was like, "What's your advice?" We've been married 7 years. So I gave him more marriage advice, but another tip that I would say is like, don't blow your load on a wedding or a honeymoon. Like, it just sets like a bad precedent for your marriage. Like, you start out in debt, and then I did that the first time, and then my second wedding was real small. And we didn't we had a small like little honeymoon, and then now you're like able to like do more fun stuff together throughout the course of your life. A bunch of places you want to see. You ain't got to blow your load in one just because it's your honeymoon.
Can I just say that if anybody's able to give proper advice on this subject, it would be you. I like how you said second marriage, and you slipped it in there. Second wedding. You have a second marriage attached to that. It's not like some people get married twice to the same person. I mean, as an honorary tribute. But let me tell you, I say this every time I come on here. You get younger every year. Like,
thanks, man.
You were so old when I met you. I just want you to know that. I don't know how, but in my brain, you were 40, bro.
I think I was like 44 when you met me, and I'm like 35 now.
That is crazy. You get younger, you get slimmer every year, you look happier. You seem so miserable when I met you. Yeah. And I'm glad that you're doing better.
Thank you, man. I was with the wrong person, and really unhealthy lifestyles. Big, I was way bigger, and with the right person now, lost a bunch of weight, and
and funny as fuck, bro. That man, you can tell you can tell like the strength. It's like with comedy, it's like lifting weights. You can feel like, oh, this person not to be fucked with. Like, you came
got strength behind it.
Yeah, you came out swinging. I was just like, okay, yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
Agostino strong, man.
Thank you. You too, bro. I'm in the lab. You know how it is, man. I've got, we're real comics, bro. In terms of like, there's guys that I used to look up to that still to this day, they're doing the same material, and I lost respect for them. Yeah. And like, we're real comics in the sense that like, even I don't want to hear myself I get sick of it. Yeah. And I got a bunch of stuff that works, but I always constantly want to be working on new stuff.
Well, yeah, I think is when the comedy comes from real life, one, and two, I try to be a little fair and say maybe the era that we came from, because back in the day, it's just less cameras and people's working on the set for television. But with us, it's like, man, in the age of the internet, I mean, the moment you said it twice, it's old, because somebody's captured it, somebody's heard it. I'm not saying you can't do it again, but like we said, it's just, I think we kind of came up primed for like, or it's gonna get stolen. So
I'll still do some of the old stuff on the road, but my thing is like, if you released a recording somewhere, you can't do it anymore. Like, you just shouldn't do it anymore. Like, I recorded an album last year, which is probably going to come out very, very soon. And it's, like, I don't, like, maybe 10% of it I'm still doing on the road. And you talk to those guys, and this is going to go into marriage too, man. I mean, you talk to those guys that for 20 years are doing the same material, not one new tag even added. When you talk to them, they'll, like, they're either like road guys, like they don't do anything but the road. Yeah. And then when they come home from the road, they do not go out. They don't go out, hang at the comedy clubs. They don't go out and work on new shit. They don't go out and work on mics, or they're doing cruises. Yeah. And then when they come back from the cruise, they're just, man, I got a wife at home. I got kids. Kids is a whole nother thing. Are you guys planning on having kids?
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, of course, but you know what? I'm learning. That's not true.
Like right away, or?
I mean, yes and no. A lot of stuff happens so naturally. I can't even call it. I mean,
we're young. You got time.
I'm the ripe age of 28 now, so I'm told. Lies, but I'm kind of with whatever. You know what I mean? sometimes I feel like I'm in the driver's seat of my life. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the passenger seat. But regardless, I feel good. So if that's what the next step is, I'm open to it.
All right.
It's like I'm giving a post-game interview. But yeah, we went out there, we played hard.
Yeah, we did.
You know, next time we're gonna get them.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever comes my way next, I'm gonna be ready for it.
Yeah, I just want the championship. Mom, I love you.
Wow. No, I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, you're open to it, man. I mean, I don't think that I would ever have kids.
Really? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like the new normal, man. I'm hearing, you know, that's so dynamic. I don't know, maybe because I'm still like have a Midwestern mentality. I don't know.
Yeah, my family's old school. You know, for a while, my family was always asking us, like, when are we going to have kids? And I feel like it's very, like, it should be unacceptable to ask people that. You know what I mean? It's like asking them, like, who you voted for. Like, why are you going to bring that up at Thanksgiving dinner? It's going to cause chaos. You know?
It's definitely like the tell me a joke of families.
Yes. Like, if you're a comic, tell me a joke. And if you're married, are you guys going to, you know, when are you guys going to have some kids? And I feel like it's just like, it's like asking someone's medical records. Like, are you vaccinated? Like, it just like, how do you know that we can't and we don't want to talk about it? Like, just when we have them, you'll know.
Yeah, and then we're trying, you got to get that answer. And then it gets sad because it's like, yo, what do you think is going on? And then people assume you have erectile dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
like a month ago, I literally had a nightmare that I had a kid. That my girl told me she was pregnant. It was a literal nightmare.
You shouldn't have kids.
Yes. Like, I woke up in a cold sweat. Like I was in the dream. I remember thinking, like, yo, Roe versus Wade got overturned. Like, what am I gonna do? I had never been so pro-choice in my life.
Yeah, man. I want kids, so I'm not against it. And I would say my bigger fear was having kids unprepared, you know.
Yes.
Like the fact that I made it this far in life. I mean, that's just I don't know no kid that wasn't on an accident in my family. So you know, to make a attempt is almost weird. Yeah. But you know, I thought I would have accidentally slipped up at this point.
I mean, we're hard workers. We can probably make it work if we have to, but I don't want to make it work. I'd rather take that energy and put it, you know, next thing you know, I got 2 kids and I'm doing the same jokes that you heard me do last night. 20 years later.
No, I'm telling you, we're a different generation, man. I think your material is going to elevate, and you know, because even me, like, you know, we've seen so many comics where, you know, once they got married and they start having kids, and you can almost predict their jokes, right? Mm-hmm. But I say the moment from engagement, I know my take on it has been different, and people have been. Well, you saw the one joke I've been working on. That's right. You know, yeah, and like there's every element to it has been that.
You talking about the soulmate joke?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, something that you would think that people would talk about with marriage. It's not a typical thing.
Right. And that's like the angle that I'm taking. So, you know, it's really cool having an art that you can be so free to express yourself. Yeah. It's like you're going to take that other lane, you know. But you're right. There are some comics that are just like you know, they do the hacky, you know, marriage jokes or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, I pray for them, but they make it easier to wow the crowd with just a different take.
Right. Right. You got to look for that golden thing. Like the soulmate thing is something that's not often talked about when comedians talk about marriage. However, it's something that everyone has had that conversation before. So everyone can relate. So that's what you got to find, is that middle golden one. It's like, I don't know if you ever took improv classes or anything like that, that game that they would play where you pick something out of a hat and be like vacuum cleaners or smart cars or electric cars, something like that. And it would say, like, name those. And you're, you know, the hacky would be, you know, if you're talking vacuum cleaners, the hacky would be like what, like fucking Hoover or like the things your brain would first go to. But you have to find the thing that's not so obscure, that's not so obvious. You have to find that middle one. Like Tyson.
The Teletubby little vacuum dude with the eyes that was like sucking up, but he made like a weird noise that you don't want your kid to hear because it sounds kind of gross. Like, you're too young to hear this noise, but you're old enough to watch this show. That's right. That's the vacuum cleaner you want.
Yeah, and cars, you go like electric cars, Tesla, but you're like, no, I gotta go like the one right beneath that surface. I gotta go like smart car. Like that's, you know, that's where
we're artists, we're writers, man. A lot of people don't give us our respect until until they're in a situation where we're like, damn, oh, that's why you're a comic. That's why even doing this, and you would think podcasts and all that stuff would be easy, but there's some people who don't have that skill.
Mm-hmm.
They can't keep like improv, they can't keep the balloon in the air.
Yeah, that's a funny way to put it, man. That's true. All right, so let's talk about the topic that I wanted to talk about.
Let's go.
I was talking to Vinnie a couple episodes ago, who was about to get married, and we were just talking about the stigma of, they say that comics shouldn't get married. I don't know if you've heard.
Mm-hmm.
That's a topic we were having, which I see the validation in it. I see where it comes from, but I feel like there's so many more points as to why it's okay, if it's the right person. But one last point that I didn't make that last episode that I want to make now, as I've been thinking about, is it's real important to have someone that like is real close to you. And I'm not trying to like say anybody who's not married doesn't have this benefit, but I mean, it could be another person who's very, very close to you. But I mean, it's a dark, dark world, comedy. It's depressing. You have moments where you're on high of, man, that new bit is so brilliant. Like, I'm back and all this shit is working and flowing. But then there'll be like weeks in a row of just stuff is not working, or rejection, and people getting stuff that you should have got. Not that you should think that way, but as a human being, that's a human thought. Like, oh man, this dude gets all this stuff and I don't get any of it, and I'm funnier than him.
Bro, I saw like 3 people last week. I said that should have been Augustino.
I thought you were gonna say it should have been me.
That's the throw off. But go ahead.
Yeah. They were looking for a white dude in a Hawaiian shirt. And no, man, so when you like it's such a depressing place where you'll have moments of like, maybe I'm not made for this. Maybe like a couple weeks ago, man, it crossed my mind, and it comes and goes. I'll go through periods where I go like, maybe I'm not good at this. And I think to myself sometimes, like, maybe I'm a good writer, and maybe I just like, when it comes to performing, like, it's not my thing, like maybe like I am a good performer, but I also feel like, am I just like a product of all the legendary comics that I looked up to, and I'm just a good writer? You know what I mean? Like, I go through moments like that, and
don't do it to yourself.
I thought that I know I do, and I thought like, I'll just quit and I'll just start writing. I'll just write only. Like, I'll like, since everybody tells me you're a good writer, and we can't take a compliment, I'll be like, what are you trying to say? I'm not a good comic? Like, I'm not a good performer?
Oh, you're smart. You're smart. I've been getting that my whole comedy career. You're really brilliant. You know that?
You're a smart writer.
You'd be like, yeah. I mean, thank you, but
yeah,
I'm supposed to make people laugh too. I don't know.
And we shouldn't take it that way, because like, if they said you're funny, you'd be like, well, thank you. But they're not saying that you're not funny. They're just saying, on top of being funny, here's a thing that you're especially like good at. And
trust me, I know how to compartmentalize my insecurity. I take it, pack it up, and be like, yo, shut up, Jim.
Another thing that gets to me is like, everybody always tells me I sound like Burr on stage. I sound like Bill Burr. I get that a lot, and I do look up to Burr a lot. He's like my favorite comic, and I've noticed that when I'm trying new material, I have a crutch of sounding like him. And once it becomes my own voice, like, once it's my joke, I sound like myself. But it just I'm so insecure about people. Well, yo, you sound like Burr, and sometimes they mean it as a compliment, and I'm like, it's just I get it is a compliment, but I'm so frustrated with it because it's something I'm trying to work on. And it's also, I think, that like, the Boston roots that I have growing up there, and I yell on stage, you know what I mean? It's things like that. But I just was thinking like, maybe I'm a good writer and I just do well on stage because I sound like Burr, or I sound like this comic, that comic.
Has someone at the mic called you Phil Burr?
No, did they yesterday?
Yeah. But look.
Hilarious.
I've done the math. I got you. I've done the math.
Yeah.
So none of us invented stand-up comedy. It was an art form that was invented. I know people want to go back to the court jesters, but nah, man, we're more like MCs. We're hosts, and hosts have tricks and things, segue to get to stuff. But at the end of the day, how you ever first observed stand-up comedy, there's parts of this that appeal to you, and continually appeal to you. And we all absorb certain elements, and it takes a while for those elements to become directly your own, or your own voice and all that. So we're going to hear stuff in other comics' voice. I feel like there's a level, a percentage, because even originality, if you're taking influences from other places, how original is that?
Yeah.
To me, originality is somewhere between 10 to 25%. That's original. You know what I mean? Influence to me is around 20 to 30%. I'm around that, whatever. Anything 40 and up, I would have to say is ripping off.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, we're all molded from who we looked up to.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is to take it and do something else with it, because they took it and did something else with it. And come on, how many legendary comics, the number one person everybody looks up to, they say Richard Pryor openly admitted from stealing from Cosby. They go, you meant influence. He goes, no, I was doing Bill Cosby. Like I was doing his whole act.
Wow.
He admitted to that. He said, I was just doing him, because at back then it was about just making money. You know what I'm saying? Like he was, he had the suit and everything. So the Richard Pryor that everybody grew to love, that guy came from the ashes of the original performer, host, comic, guy. And that's just evolution. Of course, you got Eddie, who was ripping off Richard Pryor, directly. And I think it is important. This is something that people don't realize in our journeys, is just shedding that skin. Like for me, shedding that Dave Chappelle skin, Chris Rock skin, Martin Lawrence skin, Eddie Murphy skin, and becoming my own.
That's what it is.
The comments, I say the compliment that it's still not a good thing, but the compliment I like the most is when somebody goes, "Oh, you remind me of George Carlin." I go, "Oh, thank God," even though that's not good either. But I just go like, "Wow, you."
But it's not one of the ones that you thought they were gonna say.
Well, it's because where I draw from isn't necessarily, of course I'm influenced by all these people, but I would say in concept, the way I get obsessed with different concepts is closer to Carlin. You know what I mean? But at least I'm like, oh, because I think what's boring to me is to say, if you see me, I remember I did 40 minutes on stage. I get off stage, somebody was like, that Eddie Murphy impression was amazing. I don't have an Eddie Murphy impression.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
Just looking at my face, and you just did something, and because it is you can't talk like this no more, because then it's like, oh, you're doing Eddie, so stupid. But man, you have
so there's two things I want to say real quick. But so there's a comic that you and I both know. I won't say his name on here, but when I see him, I think he's so funny. I think he's very talented. But when I see him, I hear Chappelle. He's just doing Chappelle. And it's fine with that. That's fine. Like he's obviously influenced by him, like I'm influenced by Burr, but his own material is very, very funny. And then, Chappelle is influenced by Eddie Murphy. It just goes down that train. I mean, you could look at Louis C.K. and he opened for George Carlin and wrote for George Carlin. So like, I hear George Carlin and Louis C.K. Like we're all like just getting past that. Like everything is molded from all these other legends, and they were molded from somebody else. Were you going to say something to that?
Fun fact though, Chappelle, actually his, I don't know, let's say his avatar, or his, it was Tony Woods. Have you ever seen Tony Woods?
I know Tony Woods, yeah.
Dave was like, obviously he turned into his own thing, but a lot of early Dave was just doing Tony Woods,
I saw Tony Woods in a really funny place. I was in Dubai and I ran into Tony Woods.
What?
Which is so
That's so random.
I wasn't even in the Dubai
Were y'all doing a gig?
festival. I was doing a gig like somewhere else there, and he was doing the festival, and I went and stopped by the festival on my night off, and he was there.
He's hilarious.
He is.
I tell you, there's a level of silly that my brain doesn't process. Now I can play along with it, but I don't think people like my version of playing along with it. It's kind of like it sucks, but like it's kind of like if you're like juggling, and and you're juggling in my face, and you're bouncing the ball off my head, I'll take the ball and throw it.
Yeah,
that's just my version of playing along. But yeah, Tony Woods, love him to death. Our words don't match up. When he says something, I go, huh? I don't know. I can't talk to him. I think he's hilarious. I cannot. It just doesn't compute. I just go, give me the ball. There it is.
I wish I had like an accent, because then like nobody ever compares you to anybody. Like
man, but people find it.
Will Sylvans?
Yes.
Will Vince is so funny to me, dude. And like, no, I never hear anybody go like, "Oh, Will Vince is like," no, he's not. Like, Will Vince is Will Vince.
Not. I don't think they're the same. I don't think anything. But I have my multiverse my like hat on, and when I think of Will Vince, I think that's New York's Ian Edwards.
Dude, I think that too, and I thought that was racist of me to think that. But I'm so glad that you
because if the comedy store and the cellar, if the comedy store and the cellar are similar, yeah, Will Vince, you can catch Will Vince there pretty consistently.
They don't sound like each other.
They're just a multiverse version, like
they're brilliant, like joke writers that just hit you with a slowly, like murder you slowly,
And you've never seen them on the same lineup in the same place. I'm trying to tell you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Did not say
so to give myself an excuse on talking about influences, and people always say Burr, but like, I mean, I toured with Joey Diaz for years. I hear Joey Diaz sometimes, and people don't hear it because I don't sound like him, but the tones and the beats, and he's not as structured. Like he says it like I'm not as like he's not Captain writing guy, you know what I mean? He's very off the cuff, and even his material it's never the same twice, but I've learned storytelling from him. I've toured with Jimmy Schubert a lot. I've caught myself picking up mannerisms from him.
Yeah.
And then people see that I'm doing Burr, but what it actually is, dude, yes, I'm heavily influenced by him, but people don't realize is that when I'm on stage, I'm doing my persona is loosely based off of a childhood friend of mine who is from Boston. And that's kind of what I channel when I'm on stage, because I'm actually a very like kind of shy, quiet dude in real life. I've known you a long time. You may not see that, but no, I was homeschooled, very antisocial. Like my father used to joke about how he's like, oh, he's going to be a public speaker one day, being sarcastic because I was like a quiet kid. And when I go on stage, it's the most like opposite thing that you would think I would grow up to do. And when I'm on stage, I'm like channeling a friend of mine from my childhood who's from Boston and is a very loud person. You know what I mean? So that's what I channel. So I think that like, and I lived in Boston for, my youth. And I think that comes out also. And people just think Burr,
Yeah. I mean, it does suck. But I say, it's a percentage. I think, maybe put another trick in there or diluting it a little more, just as far as like, I mean, honestly, I think you're great. So
Thank you.
I don't even like telling comics what to say and do.
Yeah, but I don't like to either.
But you also, you know what though, like blow all the. There's not too many people who like, who get that compliment. So it's like blow all the way up and get in a position where people are asking him like, "Yo, you heard about this Augustino kid? Like, yo, he sounds just like."
Yeah, let's get it to that point.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's definitely a possibility. I remember, I feel like when at least, we started around the same time. When I first got here, everybody was sound like Louis C.K.
Yeah,
everybody, like, and Kevin Hart. That was like
that
really weird.
Everybody was doing all the white dudes are doing Louis C.K. All the white dudes are doing Louis C.K. Like I remember, like everybody had a joke about what was the first world problems. Like Louis C.K. was doing a bit like that. Like everybody had that bit.
Yeah, and every white person was saying nigga in the seeing if they can get away with it. I'm like, oh, Louis C.K. opened a bag worm. Whatever.
Until they found out they can make money on cruises, and now we don't see them no more. They dropped the N-word. They're like, I'll do a cruise. I can work clean. And then before you and I got in the game, every white dude was Dane Cook.
Dane Cook, yeah. LA was like a big act out town to me. And
it was.
I felt swallowed, man. I felt like man, like I had to go up, and the real me was like this at first. So I just couldn't imagine doing, comics doing big, act out theatrical things and all that stuff.
I was never like that. We're writers, bro. I'm gonna spit this that I wrote for you, and I'm not a big act out guy. And like for a while, it was like I was getting buried from guys that were so animated, and it's like I just want to stand here and tell you these jokes. But honestly, like your Burrs and your Louis C.K.'s, who when they come and visit LA, or when they got popular Netflix specials, you saw like, oh, brilliant fucking stand-up comics. Is Chris Rock loud? Sure. Brilliant fucking stand-up comics. Just shut up and listen to them talk. Just stand in one place and let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's consistency, and I don't want to make it a war, but obviously the most brilliant comics, they're not saying, look at that kickflip he can do. So
yeah, but it is hard to follow. Man. I will say it's hard to follow. It's a lot of energy, bro.
It's more balanced now.
Going after Vinnie Oshana. You ever go to the Ha and have to follow Vinnie Oshana? Bro, yes, he's a funny comic and an act out dude. Very physical,
outs, bro.
You get buried. You get buried.
The dog shitting joke and stuff, bro. That used to kill me, man.
So we got like 6 minutes left on this podcast. I was getting to a point with all this.
Sorry.
I'm getting.
We're good friends, guys.
The point is that there's moments where you're just feeling down about yourself in this game, or I'm sure most performing artists or artists in general feel. And I was thinking to myself, like, maybe I'm just a good writer and I'm just doing a really good Burr impression, and I'm really like, I'm just copying people. And I go, so maybe I'm not like, and it's fine if people go, you sound like Burr, but not in the same week where I got rejected from this, a booker didn't get back to me, I got canceled off this show, I had a bad set, all in that same week, rent is due, all this stuff. And you feel like you're going nowhere, and all this is happening. And you know what, dude? I think it's important to have someone in your life who is counting on you and who you can go home to that keeps you sane. And I mean, how many suicides are in comedy?
Man, that sucks.
It's I feel like I'm not saying it's foolproof, because we've seen married people off themselves, but it's less likely. It's more likely when they're single. It's like you need a good family, a good support system. You need a good wife, a good husband to, like, when you're feeling down, someone to talk to or just spend time with and be a real human with, which also good material comes from. Just living a normal life. You know what I mean? And that was another point that I wanted to make, that it's a good thing about comics getting married. But I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad who doesn't have someone in their life like that. But it is.
They can feel bad.
Yeah.
We chose a team. Like, you're terrible people.
I bombed and I'm not married. I'm killing myself after this podcast.
If nobody wants you, nobody wants you. Remember that. Not kidding. No,
but it's important to have someone like close that is like you know what I mean? You can confide in with everything and talk to them about everything. And it just feels good to talk about it, especially late at night. Late at nights are the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like everything's in moderation. And I think that people will go too far left, too far right with a lot of stuff. Consistency. We're social creatures. We're meant to cohabitate. I don't want to piss off any polygamists, but I just feel like having another person in the household, because I definitely can be real secluded at times, and just having somebody to check on you.
Yes. Yeah. You got to feel love with all the rejection around you and all the doubts that you have in your own mind, because you're probably your own worst enemy most of the time.
Yeah.
You got to feel love from somebody.
Somebody counting on you too. It's like
that's what I mean. Yeah.
They need you to thrive and kill, like
accountability. I never stuck with any workout ever until I joined a small workout group, and I had people counting on me every morning to show up for the class. You know what I mean? Like accountability. Like I couldn't off myself and think about doing that to my wife, or even her finding my body, and how devastating would that be to my family or her? And accountability.
Yeah, but it definitely. I think it's. And I'll say for me, it's improved me as a comic, and as a man as well. So I can't speak to the other side in that way. I'm too deep in it. And even if I wasn't in this one, I feel like I would be in another one. So, I'm grateful for my scenario, my situation.
We should be.
As much as people can brag about the other side. I don't feel any regrets as far as who I chose and where I'm going with my life, or whatever. I
That's
feel like
great.
I'm about to say some corny stuff. This is what God made for me. What God has for me is for me, and I definitely suggest you get someone too.
Bro, that's a Will Vince joke. I'm just kidding.
I didn't know if you look at our material closely, every joke I've ever said was stolen from Will Vince. I'm saying that. My job. I haven't seriously watched the set of his. That's funny.
You gotta have
this clip against me.
We are like fortunate, and anybody who is listening, like, you gotta like really be thankful for what you got, and if you have anybody in your life that giving you any type of love at all, like, you gotta be thankful for that. It probably keeps you going another day more than you realize. And if there's anybody out there that doesn't feel that love, we love you. Jeremy and I love you. Message. He's like, I ain't going that far.
No, man. I feel like I actually appreciate the comic game way more because of the amount of deaths and stuff like that. So I try to spread as much love as possible.
And you're certainly not alone, that's for sure, because there's a bunch of people going through the same thing as you. So reach out. If you ain't feeling the love, reach out. And I'm always open to anybody or artists in particular that, if you guys want to message me on my Instagram or my website, click on contact. Those go right to my emails. I answer my emails, and new comics, whatever. Like, I'm always trying to be.
I'm literally about to give the world your number right now.
I'm gonna text out.
You can reach Augustino if you suicide helpline at 818.
Yeah, he's giving out a guest spot in Memphis. Hit him up. Oh man. All right, bro. Well, congratulations on your soon to be marriage, and I wish you guys the best. I'm glad that you're happy and have no regrets.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for being an inspiration. I mean that, even though I'm joking. I'm also serious. Thank you. Seriously.
Thank you, bro. Well, we're about to get cut off from Zoom because they suck, but we'll see you next time, bro. I'm glad I get to see you out and about a lot more these days, man. And I love your comedy, and we're both really smart writers.
Thank you, man. You're strong as fuck.
Thank you. You too, man. All right, bro. Go ahead and log off. I'll say bye to these people. Go
Jeremy
see
Comedy.
him at Jeremy Comedy on Instagram, and go see him wherever he is live. And for me, you guys, I hope to see you this weekend in San Diego at the La Jolla Comedy Store.
Homeschooled podcast. Homeschool.
The Homeschooled podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.